Hello, can you hear me? Hello. Welcome to today's stream. Welcome. Today is episode 19 of heisei, babtro. Can you guys believe that we've had 19 episodes already? I think that's insane. 19 is like a lot of episodes. I've talked to like 19 new people this year. That's crazy. That's hecking crazy. But I am very excited for today's episode. I hope you guys are excited as well. As you know, heisei, babtro is my podcast where we yap about our favorite media from Japan's heisei era. The heisei era spanned from 1989 to 2019, which is a super wide range of time. But in regards to pop culture, can be characterized by rapid technological advancements, the rising popularity of anime and Japanese video games both in Japan and overseas, and what many consider to be the golden age of places like Akihabara and Harajuku. But today, I have a special guest. I am going to be joined by Kellen McFinn to talk all about the Metal Gear franchise. Also, hello, Wise Ragnarok. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Alright, let's go ahead and see if they are ready to get started. Alright. Hello. Are you ready?
Ooh.
Hello.
Ooh, that's a pigeon ooh.
Well, let's go. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself to my viewers?
This is absolutely not a debut, if you can call it that, by the way. But hi, I go by Kelly, your rideable bird VTuber. It's technically a VTuber, but it's nice to see you all. Absolutely not a debut on none other than weebab.exe's own channel, even if it's not even my channel that I'm debuting on. That's funny. Anyway, I'm a little bit rusty. I just came back into the land of the internet. I was taking a little bit of a short break because some stuff that I need to do to nourish this flesh tuber model that I need to use to hide in and blend in with the humans per se. But here I am in the, well, not technically in the flesh, I suppose, but I'm pretty sure you already know what I mean by flesh tuber model. You know, one of those damn human disguises that cost like a fortune.
Oh gosh.
Aside from that, I'm on here. Consider this a small little unofficial debut, or maybe even test stream to see if I'm working properly in here.
I will say I love your model. Your model's so fun.
Why, thank you. I love your model too. It looks very modular, to say the least. I need to make the mouth a little bit more responsive on my end. You see why I had to take that break now. But there, back in the flesh, popped up on my behind. I mean, you could even ride me, so why would you ever complain? Aside from that, though, how about you, Bab? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well.
How's everyone doing?
Getting excited because my birthday is coming up this week.
Ooh, what's that exact day?
Yeah, my birthday is on the 6th.
August 6th?
Like,
I'm jotting that down right now.
1, 2, 3, 4, like 5-ish days. Gonna be doing a whole hacking, like, mini subathon for it. I'm very excited.
Let's go. I'm pinning that. I gotta remember that. Let's do it. Alrighty, perfect.
For today's episode of heisei, babtro, we are going to be talking about Metal Gear. And I was actually really excited when you proposed the topic, because Metal Gear is one of those franchises that I've not gotten into yet, but I've been very intrigued by. I think because, like, you know, the VTuber Mint Phantom is a really big fan of Metal Gear, so he talks about it all the time, and I'm like, one day I'm gonna get into this. But that day hasn't come yet, so I'm excited that maybe this will be the trigger that gets me to become a Metal Gear fan. I'm really looking forward to this one.
By all means, I'm your burb. Now, technically, my forte is generally Monster Hunter, but not a whole lot of individuals per se actually know my passion, that is Metal Gear. You'd be shocked, like a beehive stinging you. Like that will swell a little bit and that'll burst just a tad. But yeah, I usually do Monster Hunter. Just not as much people know that I absolutely love Metal Gear. It kind of shaped who I am a little bit today. I also love The Witcher, but that's a topic for another time.
Yeah.
But Metal Gear has been pretty damned influential per se in the heisei period. As you all know, heisei is around, I believe, between the early 1990s to actually no, late 1980s until around the early 2010s. I believe that's around the heisei era.
I think actually technically heisei is 1989 to 2019, which is crazy to think about. That feels like a wildly like big amount of time, but
it's right after Japan's bubble economy.
Yeah, so much happened during the heisei era. It's crazy. But yeah, the way I usually... Oh, go ahead.
What was the era after heisei? I forgot.
Yeah, right now we're in Reiwa. The Reiwa era.
Reiwa. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, Reiwa started in 2020.
Yeah, that was my question. Carry on.
Yeah, so yeah, the way I usually start these is, imagine there is someone in chat who has literally never even heard the words Metal Gear before. How would you introduce the franchise to someone who knows absolutely nothing about it?
Well, before I do talk about that and go full autism mode, when you hear Metal Gear, what do you think at first?
I mean, in the literal sense, because I'm being annoying now. In the literal sense, I picture like a gear made out of metal. But in my personal knowledge, I literally, when I was a kid, we owned Super Smash Bros. Brawl for the Wii. So I knew Solid Snake was like a cool guy who hid in a cardboard box, and that's what I knew about Metal Gear. I know Snake. He's a cool guy and he hides in a box. Kept you
yes,
waiting,
that is true. He does that in the game. Indeed, that is a quote that he said. True. So that's your introduction to Metal Gear. It is pretty common where a lot of people would know Metal Gear, especially Snake, off of Super Smash Bros. Brawl. How Snake got into Super Smash Bros. Brawl is because Masahiro Sakurai and Hideo Kojima were close friends, and out of a spur of a moment, Hideo was asking Sakurai, "Hey, you know, what would happen? How would it be if Solid Snake were to be added in Smash Brothers?" And Sakurai said, "You know what? Sure, why not? We'll give a slot in there. Metal Gear has been on Nintendo consoles after all, so why the hell not? You say?"
Yeah.
And boom, there you have it. It's nice to see him back in Smash Ultimate for now, even if his Gyat was a little nerfed, to say the least. Aside from that, but yeah, that is a common way for some people to be interested in Metal Gear. But several other instances is Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, which we will get into later.
Yeah.
And obviously some of the memes that are associated with Metal Gear, like Psycho Mantis, you might have heard of. Metal Gear in general has a lot of quotable lines. That's why. So I wouldn't be surprised if some newcomers came in and then learned a lot of stuff just immediately, just like that, from the memes and other outside sources. Because Metal Gear, on a surface level, you see a lot of military stuff, right? And you'd probably be like, yeah, you know, whatever. So how I will probably explain Metal Gear to you in the simplest terms, at least as first, is action stealth game with over-the-top cutscenes that take itself extremely seriously, but is also really goofy. That is the most simplest way that I can explain Metal Gear to you. It goes a little bit more deeper into that, though, as well. But because, like how you said, how this goes into with the metal and the gear part, that is actually still a bit of a plot point. But again, like I said, we'll go into that.
Yeah.
But before we go into that, I wanted to also give a highlight to a certain individual that goes by Hideo Kojima, the director of Metal Gear.
Oh yeah.
So have you heard of him?
He's cool. Like, I don't know a lot about him, but everything I have heard, I'm like, he seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah, I probably should have prepared some supplementary material like
Yeah.
images and stuff beforehand. That's my bad. But
no worries.
essentially Hideo Kojima is a director. He directed a few weird games before Metal Gear as well. Namely stuff like Police Knots or Snatcher, which have been around in the very start of the Heisei period. And over time, he was doing all right. He was directing games. He was doing his job as a game director. Simple as that. Again, he's also a developer as well, alongside as a director, without overloading me with too much information. Eventually, at some point, he wanted to also be a bit of a movie director as well. So he has had the greatest idea of why not just implement that into gaming at some point. Although at the time when he thought of this process, there were a few limitations, at least at first. Thus, Metal Gear was born on the MSX, I believe. There were several other platforms, but namely the MSX had it. And when you look at Metal Gear back then, you won't even recognize it to what it looks like now. But when you play the original Metal Gear, it is a little janky, to say the least.
Actually,
and a little bit difficult.
I was really surprised because I did a tiny bit of research earlier today to prepare for today's episode, and I actually didn't realize that Metal Gear started in the 80s. Like, when I think of Metal Gear, I do kind of picture, more 3D games, like the PS1, 2 era, that kind of game. So I didn't realize it went back that far. That surprised me. I was like, oh wow, this franchise is a lot bigger than I thought it was.
Yep, far more bigger than your mom ever could be big. But all corny jokes aside, what really took off Metal Gear was the development of Metal Gear Solid and the release of it. But again, we'll go into that. So essentially, Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, they are canon as a part of the Metal Gear universe, where you play as Solid Snake, and he goes through a little bit of let's just say that it was a little bit tough on his mental well-being, to say the least. So those are essentially the Metal Gear games in a nutshell. And again, if you want to play these, I'll warn you, they are really difficult. Metal Gear 2 is a little bit more easier to play, far more intuitive. It is far more fun than the very first Metal Gear, but the very first Metal Gear is still extremely important to keep in mind. That just a small heads up if you're interested in playing those. Just remember, it is extremely archaic. All right, let me go check my notes again. So basically, again, going back to Hideo Kojima, like I said, he wanted to be a bit of a movie director, and of course, he went into Metal Gear, and developed Metal Gear, and eventually Metal Gear Solid. Eventually, at some point, though, later on in Hideo Kojima's career, he and Konami had differences of an opinion. So he doesn't work at Konami anymore, and the company that owns the Metal Gear IP is now unfortunately Konami. So while there probably will be Metal Gear games, they will likely not be directed by Hideo Kojima anytime soon, because Hideo Kojima created his own video game studio and is starting to create the games of Death Stranding and then OD, several more, which we'll get into later as a part of the description of Hideo Kojima, of course.
Definitely.
In honor of him. So yeah, that is essentially Hideo Kojima in a nutshell. Now, oops, I accidentally cursed the wrong button. Hold on. Oh boy, that's gonna be ugly. So, in honor of Kojima, let's start this with Metal Gear, because that is a main topic of what made Hideo Kojima so famous in general. That's why. So this is going to be a bit of a doozy.
I'm excited.
So the start of Metal Gear Solid. At first, Konami was a little bit skeptical, especially since they're a producer. Obviously, of course, they'll be a little kind of, what the hell is this? Why would you want to make a parody game of Americans in a Japanese country? Just why? Just why? And then eventually they kind of, with a bit of convincing from Kojima himself, they eventually gave him the resources to greenlight Metal Gear Solid. And the direction that Kojima took with this was that he wanted to make the best game or the best thing he ever made. So he put everything into this and made sure to put all the resources, the research, and everything into Metal Gear Solid.
I love
essentially,
when a game dev loves what they're doing. Like, you can tell they put so much effort and care into what they make. It always feels refreshing, especially nowadays.
Oh, they do, especially.
Like,
you can tell on the
dev
PS1.
Loves what they do. I feel like makes the game even more enjoyable because it was made with care.
And Kojima did, especially. But that kind of mindset that Kojima ended up having with Metal Gear is not entirely something Konami entirely agreed with, because Kojima was using up a lot of Konami's resources and time. So that's one of the reasons why Konami parted ways with Kojima, essentially. He got fired.
Dang.
I'm not joking. He got fired from Konami. That's how bad it was. And at the Video Game Awards, he was barred from going up on stage and accepting a reward. So Keith Sutherland accepted the reward in Kojima's honor, the voice actor for Snake in Metal Gear Solid 5.
Okay, that's wonderful.
And oh my god, that crowd was jeering. That crowd was jeering upon the mention of Kojima not appearing on stage. That was horrible.
Oh my god.
Oh man, I will not forget that. That was the worst. That was the loudest boos that I've ever heard in video game history. I could be wrong, aside from Diablo Immortal, but that's a story for another time. But aside from that, yeah, you could tell that he cared. The point is that you could tell that he cared. He cared so much that Konami found Kojima to be a bit of a threat, so he got nerfed. He's doing all right though. He's making Death Stranding and OD, which we'll get into later.
Yeah.
So back into Metal Gear, the Metal Gear series. So the series essentially has a very big theme on warfare, especially. And even though it does parody America and America habits and American warfare a little bit, it does actually do it with a lot of nuance and research, especially with how America operates with their military. This is coming from a Japanese director, Japanese devs, by the way. Kojima did a lot of research. For example, for Metal Gear Solid, the very first, it was very heavily about genetics and cloning, which is a little bit of a very controversial topic amongst biology, about altering genetics on humans and other animals and sorts, because essentially Solid Snake is a super soldier, genetically modified super soldier, who was raised to be his past is not very easily known. All that's known is that he did join the military eventually and worked his way up from the Green Berets, the CIA, and eventually Foxhound. It's not very easily not very much is known about Solid Snake, very much, not even through supplementary material. Although I will say that his first name is David, essentially. Yes. So aside from that, the whole point of Metal Gear in general just being about warfare. Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 were originally just meant to be these regular military-ish looking games, but they did have surprising twists, which is why they have cult followings. Metal Gear Solid took those and parodied them and exaggerated them onto extreme levels, making them extremely memorable. You will not be disappointed if you are an American. Now, obviously, this did kind of alienate the Japanese audiences a little bit, obviously, because again, It is about American military a little bit. Now, yeah, it still touches on other militaries as well, but mainly centered around American military. And thus, of course, that is the whole point of Metal Gear in general. The difference between Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid is essentially to... I guess I haven't really looked into that one, but I guess that's to differentiate for marketing purposes, because imagine calling a very hit game that you want Metal Gear 3. That might alienate a few people, right?
No, I can definitely
So thus
see
calling
that.
it Metal Gear Solid. So thus eventually calling it Metal Gear Solid, right? It's like a soft, I guess, no, not really a reboot, but for branding purposes, it's called that. Yeah, because I guess Kojima did see just how flawed Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 were. And thus it is far better in Metal Gear Solid. It is extremely fun. It's just it's super fun.
I thought Metal Gear Solid was the first game, actually. Like, I think that's what I picture in
Yeah,
my mind. I think early Metal Gear, so I was actually very surprised to find out there were games that came first before that one.
To touch upon that a little bit more, no, you do not need to play. Again, you do not need to play the first two Metal Gear games, but they can help if you want to know more about Solid Snake's backstory, especially during Metal Gear 2, and why he's the way he is. Because Solid Snake was relatively young during Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 before he retired briefly, and then had to come back through slightly coercive means now to go back into the mission that takes place during Metal Gear Solid, which is in the Arctics. Essentially, without spoiling anything.
Of course.
Yep. And of course, Metal Gear Solid was a massive hit, so you can only guess what they did next.
Oh man, a sequel.
I wonder why. Here comes Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. This game, yeah, you can definitely see the upgrade for this one. It still used the same this overhead camera as Metal Gear Solid, but is essentially a sequel. This one is about how quickly information and disinformation spreads across people and cultures especially, and some people might actually roll with it, which is extremely scary. And a lot of the things that you learn from this game will blow your mind, that you will sympathize with a lot. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. The only thing that I might give a heads up is that it is especially pretty complicated if you're not familiar with at least a little bit with how the military works and how the internet works and how information spreads.
Yeah.
So yeah. That being said, though, the games are still really enjoyable if you do not give a flying fuck about the story. Many people do not, because again, Metal Gear does not always make a whole lot of sense. So they usually come for the over-the-top cutscenes and the gameplay. And the gameplay is still pretty nailed. They really did nail the gameplay. It feels responsive and smooth even to this day, in spite of the limitations, and still looks great because of the art style associated with it. It has a bit of a hybrid mix of realism with cel-shadedness. As you can see, it makes these facial expressions pretty noticeable when you see, especially Revolver Ocelot, and just a few examples. So yeah, that game really does hold up to this day still, especially. Metal Gear Solid 2 is a masterpiece in my eyes, and it only gets far better as time goes on due to the context of what Metal Gear Solid 2 is trying to tell you. Essentially, memes and misinformation is what Metal Gear Solid 2 is about, obviously with the themes of warfare and tactical espionage. I think, did I already mention that the Metal Gear series are meant to be stealth games?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. They essentially...
Earlier, it was talking about how it's like one of the first games to really incorporate stealth as a primary mechanic, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, especially that is another thing that the Metal Gear series did, especially Solid did revolutionize, was the stealth mechanic, and it actually made it pretty fun, right? That was one of the many gamers' first experience into stealth-based games, which some people would probably think it would be boring, but it actually worked out pretty well because you are rewarded for it. You get extra content like a borderline god mode, especially with the easy gun and stuff like that. It's not a spoiler. That's already shown in the instruction book manuals. If you play on easy mode, you can use something called the easy gun in some games. It's in the instruction manuals, which are a little bit obsolete now, apparently.
I miss
that makes me feel a bit
instruction
sad.
manuals in video games. We need to bring back manuals. Give me a physical book of information with every video game I buy, please.
Yes, physical copies, which, by the way, you can still get the Metal Gear Master Collection, which they're coming in volumes as physical copies as well, also digitally. Really good games, not the best ports compared to when you play them the more specialized ways, if you know what I mean. But aside from that, yes, you can still play those if you're very curious. They're readily available if you do not want to play them through specialized means, that is. Just to touch up on that. Metal Gear 1, 2, 3, and eventually 4, and Peace Walker, I believe, which we'll get into. But aside from that, Metal Gear Solid 2, it did mostly the same thing as Metal Gear Solid, obviously with nicer graphics and smoother gameplay. Of course, eventually, what came next naturally was Metal Gear Solid 3. Now, this one is interesting. A lot of people consider this their best Metal Gear game. I see where they came from, but I personally prefer Metal Gear Solid 2 the most as my most favorite game. But Metal Gear Solid 3 is a massive banger. Essentially, the shortest explanation I can give for that particular game is action spy thriller in the Cold War turned Cold War tragedy that shapes the main villain of Metal Gear and why he is the way he is now. What motivated Big Boss, essentially. That Metal Gear Solid 3 is very tantamount. That is essentially chronologically the beginning of everything. It takes place in 1961.
Oh wow,
and,
that's cool.
And when you go into the codec conversations, you might actually get a few things that are supposed to be existing later on. So it is a little bit historically inaccurate, very slightly. But some people do theorize that Metal Gear Solid 3 is a simulation of Naked Snake, Naked Snake's adventures, and not actually playing as Naked Snake. But that's a whole nother can of worms. It's going to be really complicated. So yeah, you might get references from codec calls of Godzilla or 007, especially. So yeah, it did kind of portray its time period pretty interestingly, the Cold War. And again, this is coming from Japanese devs. I want to remind you of that.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a doozy. And to continue on and touching up, do you have any questions so far?
I don't think I have any questions yet. I'm just very intrigued by all of this. I'm trying to absorb the information.
To take a little quick detour, what is one thing that catches your attention the most in the Metal Gear games?
Honestly, what I'm most intrigued by is the fact that they're so story heavy. Because I know some people are like, so many cutscenes, but I honestly love games that have so much lore and characters and character development. I find all of that stuff fascinating. Anytime I stumble upon a franchise that has lots of, plot to it, I'm like, okay. I don't know if my autism is ready for this right now, but one day, this is gonna, hit so hard.
So if you have, the military autism, you might get intrigued. Might. Especially. It did kind of inspire me a little bit to do a lot of research into them as well. Especially. But as for story and cutscenes, I will give a fun fact in that one of the cutscenes in Metal Gear Solid 4 is over an hour long.
Oh my god.
Over an hour long. Yes, I'm not joking
when games do that.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not
I
joking
love
when
it.
I
know
said that you will
people
not be disappointed.
complain, but I'm like, heck yeah, let me just sit back and watch this epic movie for the next 45 minutes to an hour. This is content.
You are not going to be disappointed. You will not. That cutscene is there's several other cutscenes like that in the Metal Gear series, but Metal Gear Solid 4 is really egregious for that. A lot of people complain about cutscenes a lot. No thanks to the series. Thankfully, you can skip them. Thankfully.
Oh, man.
Yes, so if you don't give a fuck about the story, you can just skip them if you want to. You won't know what's going on, but again, some people don't like cutscenes. At the very least, you can skip them, unlike what you can do in fucking Okami. Or if you're doing like repeat playthroughs and you already know what's going on, you want to like challenge run the game, especially.
Oh yeah, that can get annoying if you've already seen a cutscene. But yeah.
And you cannot skip them. Yep, especially. And
me
speaking
playing
of Metal Gear
Resident Evil
Solid
2 and being like, oh man, I've seen this cutscene 7 times. I get it now. Let me try again.
Oh, you mean the OG or the remake?
Yeah. I recently finished the original Resident Evil 2. It was so fun, but I kept dying.
Oh, the OG Resident Evil 2 cutscenes, they're not skippable, right?
Yeah, so like I wasn't complaining about rewatching some of them, but I was like, okay, I've seen this cutscene 10 times today during the stream. I get it.
Yeah, being able to skip cutscenes. I mean, if you play the game hundreds of times, you don't need to look at them again.
Yeah.
Well, games really have to have like a little theater mode where you can rewatch those cutscenes anytime. That should be a standard.
That. Yeah, I know the Xenoblade games have a theater mode, and I love going back and watching some of those cutscenes. It's so awesome. All games should have that as an option. It's so fun.
I have a Xenoblade option. I have a Xenoblade autism as well.
Heck yeah.
Just a if you know, you know.
Oh
fucking think you can take me? Don't forget me. I can say that all day. You will not get old of it. Xenoblade fans are insane. But I'm getting sidetracked here.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, Metal Gear Solid 3, to sum it up, like I said, action spy thriller turned Cold War tragedy. And then, interestingly, Kojima, actually it wasn't really directed by Kojima, but there was a few games that showed up on the PSP for Metal Gear, and that is Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, which some people are debating on whether or not that game is canon. I have not played that game. I wish I really did. But it does show a few interesting stories about Naked Snake, now turned to Big Boss, and what he was doing right after Metal Gear Solid 3. So basically, he's back in it. He hasn't turned old yet. He still has unfinished business. And then, of course, Hideo Kojima develops Metal Gear Solid 4, which is a really divisive, where it has a lot of haters, again, for the shit-ass cutscenes. But it was extremely bold for the standalone story it was trying to tell, in spite of the game wrapping up everything about Metal Gear in general, like wrapping up every single loose end. That is one of the reasons why those cutscenes are so long. By the way, that's meant to be a big finale, wrapping up Solid Snake's journey, because as you can see in Metal Gear Solid 4, he's gotten old, to say the least, and it's been taking a toll on him. And this is where the theme of Metal Gear Solid 4's influence of psychological warfare comes into play with military, in military, because Solid Snake, he's you can tell that Solid Snake has mega autism,
oh man,
and that he's been suffering from PTSD, and then there's also the thought of him of whether or not he truly enjoys warfare, or if he's just bloodthirsty, because Solid Snake genuinely believes in justice and fighting for what's right, for peace, in spite of him having those implications of enjoying warfare, which makes him really complex. And one of the reasons why he's rather introverted, because he has rather controversial viewpoints, and especially with his actions as well, and how he behaves. and that is what Metal Gear Solid 4 touches upon: psychology and psychological warfare. It's really interesting, to say the least. I mean, it's probably going to be cliche for me saying it is very interesting, but one of the cutscenes will definitely highlight that, because Metal Gear Solid 4 touches upon things like nanomachines, if you know what those are. Do you?
So.
They're essentially like little robots that live inside your body. Yeah, that's what they are.
Oh man.
They're in an experimental phase in the United States right now. Same with genetic modifications and stuff. This is all experimental stuff. Let me see here. I'm checking my notes to make sure I'm not missing anything. Let me see. So basically, yeah, Metal Gear Solid 4 is about a psychological warfare. It is a very it's an emotional payoff, I will say, the most, at least. But yeah, that was originally supposed to be the finale of the series, at least. But that wouldn't be the end of it, obviously. Because Kojima directed a game called Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Again, yes, another Naked Snake Big Boss game. Yes, of course, surprise, surprise. Essentially what Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker is, again, it showcases what Naked Snake, now turned to Big Boss. I'm just going to call him Big Boss now, because that's what he's called. What he's now doing, he's essentially following his dream in Metal Gear Solid. Let me see. Oh my, I forgot. I was going to say something. I forgot. It slipped my mind.
It'll come back, baby.
Okay. The gameplay, right? The gameplay is essentially the same as Metal Gear, but you have to build your personal army. That's essentially what Peace Walker is. And then I'm trying to comb what I was trying to talk about. Sorry, I lost it.
You're good.
Yeah. Okay. But I think the story, it's still important within the story of Metal Gear. Absolutely do not skip Peace Walker. I wish I finished Peace Walker. Damn, I'm regretting everything now.
Oh man.
Yeah. So that's not going to be the end of it, obviously. because then what gets developed next is Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
Oh yeah,
which,
I know a little bit about that one. My sibling actually streamed that one a couple years ago. But I've seen a tiny bit of that game.
Oh my god, yeah, that is
everything. I know only a tiny bit, but it looks freaking wild.
It is one of the reasons why people are coming into Metal Gear, are learning about Metal Gear, solely because of Revengeance. It is still very Metal Gear. I'm not going to deny that. I'm absolutely not going to deny that. Also, hi Taja. Nice to see you.
Welcome
again. Fancy meeting you here. I know Taja. Taja loves Dark and Darker. Absolutely fucking love him. Don't tell him that, but he's my homie forever. Anyway, aside from that, that's the gay stuff aside. Let me see. Let me check my notes again. Metal Gear Rising, yeah. It explores the character of Raiden a little bit more, and based on what was showcased there, nobody was complaining, because Raiden was hated in Metal Gear Solid 2. Like, you wouldn't believe. Although people eventually did warm up to him during Metal Gear Solid 4, and then Metal Gear Rising just made him just this cyborg ninja, essentially. But Metal Gear Rising was developed by Platinum Games, and it still tells the story of Metal Gear a little bit, but features really good as a standalone story as well. It's still recommended to play Metal Gear Solid 2 and 4 to get the full break of of Raiden's character in general, so you know how he is. Again, you probably hear this from me a lot because you get the intricate details of these characters as you play the previous games and learn more. But essentially, Rising is a character or stylish action game where there's a strong emphasis on combat. I still recommend definitely playing that game. It is still a really fun time. And then I forgot to I forgot to put this in here. Metal Gear Solid 5 is the last mainline Metal Gear Solid game.
Oh, yeah. There's 5
yeah.
of them.
5 mainline ones. There's actually like a shit ton of Metal Gear games. There's Metal Gear Acid and Metal Gear Sustenance, which are considered non-canon, essentially. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5 is essentially the consequences of Big Boss's action, and he's trying to rectify those, especially. And it pays off. And it may not pay off at first when you get into the brink of it, but if you know Metal Gear enough, you will understand why Metal Gear Solid 5 was made. And the only problem with Metal Gear Solid 5 is that it does kind of retcon a few things, which is a little bit annoying, but it's not like the biggest deal. Aside from that, this is the last game that Kojima made before he was fired from Konami, like a bitch. And I'm still fuming about that a little bit.
No, that sucks.
Because Metal Gear Solid 5 released unfinished, actually.
Wait, really? Oh, damn.
Yes, and it did not get any updates to finish the game.
I hate that.
Yes, what was unfinished is the cutscenes and story content and the missions regarding one of the characters becoming who that character became today. So essentially, the end of the last time you see that particular character just ends on an awkward note, and it just happens so fast, so abruptly.
That's so upsetting.
Like you won't even believe what happened or why that ended up being the case. But that essentially started that character's arc in Metal Gear Solid 5, and it was supposed to be touched up upon from the content that was supposed to be in the game but unfinished. Sadly, there is no known way to recover the unfinished content, I believe, unfortunately.
Oh, that's terrible.
As for Metal Gear Solid 5 itself, it doesn't have like any intricate themes aside from, I believe, the game being Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker 2, actually. That's what I believe the game is, essentially. But I guess the reason why they called it 5 was, again, marketing reasons. Because you're going to see Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker and be like, yo, what the fuck? I don't have a PSP. Y'all, I'm not playing that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5, the debatability of whether or not you need to play that game. I mean, the game is really long. The longest Metal Gear game to play to date. But it is a super fun sandbox game. I still definitely recommend it. And again, David Hayter not being reprised as his role for Metal Gear was a little bit odd. You might see why, but it's a little bit weird. It gets a little bit convoluted there. But yeah, that is essentially all the Metal Gear games. Oh wait, yeah, there is Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta, which is basically just the remake of Metal Gear Solid 3. You do not need to play Delta if you've already played Metal Gear Solid 3. But if you want a Metal Gear game with new graphics, I guess Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta. I don't really recommend Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta, though, basically because it is just literally a 1-for-1 remake with barely any changes aside from the CQC system in Metal Gear Solid 5 being shoehorned into Metal Gear Solid 3, which might kind of get in the way of the core experience of Metal Gear Solid 3 a little bit too much for my tastes. But I mean, it's up to you if you want to play Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta.
I mean, my personal feelings about games that get remakes is unless there's like a big reason why either I can't access the original for whatever reason or the remake fixes major issues, like I would rather just play the original.
You can play the original Metal Gear Solid 3
Yeah.
either through the High Seas way or, through the Master Collection. So there is still a way.
Yeah.
Delta might be a strain on your PC, though. That's why, also.
I see.
Yeah. And Metal Gear Acid and Sustenance are non-canon, weird Gaiden games. I could go into detail of those, but it's probably going to detract a little bit too much.
Yeah.
They're essentially just like side stories without spoiling too much about them. All right, and I believe that is all the Metal Gear games. Yep, that's all the Metal Gear games. But I'm not finished yet. Do you have any more questions?
What's your personal favorite Metal Gear game? Like if you could only play
Metal Gear Solid
for
2.
the rest of your life.
Oh wait, one for the rest of my life?
Yeah,
no, that would get old fast. That would get old fast. I couldn't choose that. I couldn't choose because each game is fun and unique in its gameplay and story. But one for the rest of my life, I don't really know. I don't really have an answer for that. I guess Metal Gear Solid 4 because of its gameplay, and because again you can skip cutscenes. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid 4. But my most favorite Metal Gear game would have to be Metal Gear Solid 2, because again, the game just ages far better the more time passes on. Especially, you will understand when you play the game. That is my most favorite Metal Gear.
Yeah. How did you get into Metal Gear? When did you first become a fan?
Interestingly, a friend. Because like I said, my first exposure to Metal Gear was again through Super Smash Bros. Brawl, but I didn't really look into it. I thought he was like a fun little guest character that they just added, kind of like with Sonic. Although I did think it was weird that they put in a military guy into Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I thought that was a little weird.
Yeah,
and I didn't think he
in the lineup. Like he doesn't really match the other characters. But I remember me and my siblings thought he was funny. Like we don't know who this guy is, but he's funny. He hides in a box.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I still play him in Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Yeah.
He's interesting. He doesn't fight like how you'd expect him to. But yeah. But without going on to a tangent of that, I then got further into Metal Gear through a few ads of Metal Gear Solid for the 3DS, which was pretty interesting to say the least. So I played. That was my first Metal Gear game, Metal Gear Solid 3D, Snake Eater 3D. And then I eventually went down the rabbit hole and played the other Metal Gear games through the high seas, unfortunately. And what got me further interested is a certain other person in my fledgling years during high school that absolutely loved stealth games like Assassin's Creed, and Metal Gear Solid was not exempt from that, especially. He absolutely loves Metal Gear, and that was what also got me more interested into Metal Gear in general. And it also shaped me as a person, again, aside from Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward or The Witcher. Yeah. So that is what got me into Metal Gear. I just kind of let it flow naturally. I saw a cool character, I was like, and then someone else talks about it, and okay, I'm interested now. I want to learn a little bit more about him. That's how I got into Metal Gear.
Yeah. I feel that's the way a lot of people get into stuff. It's like, it looks cool, but then suddenly, like, your friends are all talking about it. Like, okay, wait, what is this thing? I need to know. I need to understand what you guys are into.
So could I potentially intrigue you into this hit indie game called Honey Pop? I would tell a coworker. No. I take Honey Pop seriously. You don't have to laugh at that one. Trust me.
No, it's. I bought it recently. It may or may not be one of my subathon goals. Like I'll do a Honey Pop stream on YouTube.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that's a story for another time.
Yeah, of course.
Let me see. I wanted to also touch up on the intricate themes of Metal Gear, if that's alrighty.
Yeah.
So each game has its own individual theme. regarding it. Like I said earlier, with Metal Gear Solid 1 with genetics, Metal Gear Solid 4 with psychological warfare, and Metal Gear Solid 3 being about the Cold War and the consequences of having private militias and private armies, especially, for example. Yeah, each Metal Gear game has its own intricate story. You could just play Metal Gear Solid 4 right then and there, and you could learn a lot about the game and what it's trying to tell. I'm dead ass. You could still. You won't get the overarching plot. Like, you will not recognize like the characters and stuff. You might be confused about a few things, but the main theme and the main story of what Metal Gear was trying to tell is there. Right then and there. You will learn things, especially interestingly. You won't be disappointed. It's still recommended to play the other games, though.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and how could I forget to mention this? The Metal Gear Solid remake, Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, which came out for the GameCube, and that game is a little bit more easier than the OG Metal Gear Solid, but it does put the game a little bit more in line with Metal Gear Solid 2. That is one remake that I would actually recommend that you try out after Metal Gear Solid for the PS1, because it does actually make the dialogue more nuanced and the gameplay more like Metal Gear Solid 2, even if it makes the game a little bit too easy. So yeah, that game's on the GameCube. There is no easy way to play it easily unless you either had a physical copy or you sail on the high seas.
Yeah.
Like on Crunchyroll on a crunchy time. fucking Captain Crunchers. Anyway.
Man.
Yeah, I don't think I'm missing anything else. I just forgot to mention Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, the remake of the first Metal Gear Solid that released for the GameCube. Let me see. Combing my mind. So yeah, each Metal Gear game having its own plot and theme and story. Then there is also, of course, learning more about Solid Snake, Naked Snake, and Raiden. Fantastic characters. Same with the villains too. Each game touches upon those, and it builds up over time, especially to Metal Gear Solid 4. As for the order of games that you should play them in, so this is really debatable. I see both ways. Chronologically and order of release are both very viable. Again, you can skip Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, and I wouldn't blame you, but it is still pretty tantamount to at least know the story of those two. But I will not spoil anything unless you really, really want me to.
Yeah.
But
generally, I like to keep these spoiler-free as much as possible. Especially for things that I've not actually played either. Like, I would like to play these one day. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I'd still recommend it. Let me see. So order of release is... I already told the order of release. You already know. It's kind of right then and there. Peace Walker and Portable Ops can be considered side games, which I vehemently still disagree. But they're in there as well for the PSP. As if you have a PSP, you could definitely enjoy those games. Metal Gear Rising, which released some years before 5, was an interesting case, but it just goes into cybernetics and Raiden's character, but it's still not a game that you want to skip out on, which, even though it is essentially the last game chronologically in the timeline of the Metal Gear games, which that game also takes place in 2018, interestingly. 2018, I believe. And you wouldn't believe it takes place in 2018. You wouldn't. Much like how you would probably not believe Metal Gear Solid 2 takes place between 2007 and 2009. Still in the Heisei era, surprisingly.
Yeah.
So, I don't think the order of playing games is too tantamount. Obviously, if you go from the higher numbers from the lower first, you might still get confused. But yeah, by all means, feel free to play the games at your own pace. Enjoy them. Feel free to. And then another topic that I also wanted to touch upon was the complication of the Metal Gear games. And this also ties into Kojima as well, and how he tends to be a little bit complex in his storytelling. This is obviously evident in Death Stranding, and it's not just in Metal Gear. In Death Stranding, it is yeah. I don't know if you played Death Stranding, but that game, the reason why people get Death Stranding has a bit of a controversial viewpoint of whether people love it or hate it. But one of the main reasons why it has its detractors is that the player feels extremely out of touch with the world of Death Stranding, and you'd have to go through all these side notes within the menus to get the full story, which not many people have a lot of patience for. And a lot of people have that criticism in that Death Stranding has a more tell and not show issue. But you can still enjoy the game in spite of it being a glorified walking simulator, especially. And no, the games do not have anything to do with the Metal Gear series. Obviously. Let me see. Complicated. Would you say Metal Gear is complicated? Or would I say Metal Gear is complicated? Complicated. I would argue, yeah. At first, especially if you do not know anything about them at first, it is complicated. Especially if you do not know anything about Warfare. A first time newcomer without any of that knowledge would be like, why do people do this? Why do people do this? Even if the games are really over the top and they are parodic in a sense, they are still pretty complicated a little bit. So I don't blame you if you get confused.
Yeah.
Let me see. It says there's an ad break starting soon on your side.
Oh yeah. We don't have to worry about that.
Oh, okay. Let me go turn off this thing really quick here. Okay. So that is probably the last thing I need to touch up on. Oh yes, the what happens next part. That I would like to also then touch up on now that I'm finished with those discussions. My overall viewpoint on Metal Gear series, the Metal Gear series, is that the gameplay is fucking fantastic, in spite of there being a lot of story and cutscenes, because I view gameplay first and foremost the most important. I used to not give a fuck. I used to not really care as much about story and not really take that too much into account when I review or critique a game. Until I played The Last of Us Part 2 and Yakuza Like a Dragon. Both good and bad. Because Last of Us Part 2's story was so bad, I actually kind of soured my viewpoint of the game really badly. And Yakuza Like a Dragon's story was so good, even though I wasn't a big fan of the gameplay too much in Yakuza Like a Dragon, the story took so much, and it surprised me so much. But that goes into The Last of Us and Yakuza, respectively. I will say that Yakuza does have that cutscene gameplay formula, same with Metal Gear, even if they're different directors. Again, Yakuza is a bit of a different rabbit hole, but yeah, you might see some similarities.
I want to get into one day, definitely.
I am not a RGG expert, sadly, but I have played Yakuza 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, Like a Dragon. Just a small little backstory of me, but you can see some of the similarities of the cutscenes, because Yakuza cutscenes are really long. Let me see, what else did I want to touch upon? But okay, yeah, the series overall, I absolutely love them. I'm not even a military or history buff. I still absolutely love them. I am an enjoyer of non-fiction literature and non-fiction stuff as well, so that probably kind of attracted me to them as well. The only books I read literally is non-fiction and fan fiction. Yes, really.
Let's go.
I'm not really a fiction reader. I mean, the ones that touch up upon Revolver Ocelot's romantic feelings for Big Boss will not be lost upon people, and you can see the subtle implications. It's not explicitly outright said, but you can tell that Revolver Ocelot absolutely respects Big Boss. absolutely. And even though Big Boss is essentially a villain, same with Revolver Ocelot, you can't help but respect them a little bit, and can't help but see the gay implications
Oh,
here
heck
and there.
yeah.
Yeah, you won't be disappointed if you like LGBTQ because of how really subtle it is. You will still notice it. It's not even in your face either. You can just kind of see it a little bit. Let me see. My next question would be, should there be more Metal Gear? I would argue, no, fuck that. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
No
if
more.
Kojima's
No.
not gonna be involved, then yeah, that feels wrong to make more without him.
No, it's not just because of that. You could technically make more Metal Gear games without Kojima. Konami can still do so.
Yeah.
It's probably just going to be fucking remakes, which at this point, that's probably that's probably the future of Metal Gear,
Honestly,
aside from
yeah.
pachinko machines. But yeah. I didn't really want to. I was a little hesitant to touch upon this, but I might as well say fuck it. Metal Gear Survive is bad. Do not play it. That is all I need to say about Metal Gear Survive. Continuing on. If you want one reason why it's so bad, is you have to pay real money to get more save slots.
Oh dang, that's just weird.
That is all I need to say as to why Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear Survive is bad. Alright, continuing on. And that also touches on, should there be more Metal Gear? No. No. No, 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 no. Hell, make a new series, not related to Metal Gear, but similar if you so will, like Unmetal, for example.
Wait, when did the last game come out? What year?
The last Metal Gear game came out was Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta. That came out last year.
Okay.
Yes. Metal Gear Solid 5 came out in 2015.
Oh wow, okay.
Around that time, yes. That is the last mainline title to release for Metal Gear, the Metal Gear series. And then, of course, there's the Master Collections, which are just basically the ports or remasters of the original games. If you don't feel like sailing the high seas, you can do those. With Volume 2 coming out very, very soon, which includes Metal Gear Solid 4, which used to be only on the PS3, can now be played on modern systems if you so wish. Like on your fucking Nintendo bitch, if you will. I believe I'm saying that right?
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see. What else? So, I guess I wanted to touch up on games like Metal Gear. There is a series called Splinter Cell, which is similar and uses the light mechanic for stealth, which was interesting. It's not the same as Metal Gear. It's not as parodic as Metal Gear, but it is a pretty interesting Millicent story. So if you love the Metal Gear series, you might love Splinter Cell. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell series, by the way. And then obviously there's Unmetal, which is a indie game that parodies Metal Gear. I've never got to play Unmetal. I just saw someone play it. But yeah, let me see. I'm not sure what else I could touch upon that's stealth action. I guess, well, I mean, there's a lot of first-person shooters that do have a lot of stealth mechanics too. But from the top of my head, Splinter Cell is close because of the third-person camera that it uses as well. And cover-based shooting. Oh, yeah, there's also the Deus Ex series, but they're in first person, but they do use stealth elements, and they're more so immersive sims than pure stealth action games, which I'd still also recommend if you love the Metal Gear games, because Deus Ex is about corporate warfare in the near future, and the time that these games take place in starts in 2028, interestingly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So those games are about cybernetics, cyber warfare, and corporate warfare, especially, which is still pretty interesting, to say the least. And then Splinter Cell is, like with Metal Gear, about military, the American military, militarization, and the themes centered around it. Which, again, yeah. Those are my brief explanations of those particular Metal Gear likes. I believe. Yeah, I'm not missing anything else. Just a small little example. There are still similar games that are like that one. But it's pretty clear that Kojima did put a bit of an influence on others. As for Hideo Kojima himself, I mean, there's no knowing what he will do next.
Oh yeah.
Death Stranding 2 just released. OD is still in development. I'm personally not the biggest fan of Death Stranding. I was just really alienated by the world, but I think some people would absolutely enjoy it. Some, not all, some.
Now, personally,
But yeah,
I am actually really intrigued by OD. Because Kojima was the one who was making PT back in the day. That was Kojima, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm very
Before he got fired.
Since PT, I remember the era when that came out. Like, everyone was talking about it. It was like considered the scariest horror game of all time, and like, internet was all over the place talking about it, and then the game never actually got released. So I'm really intrigued to see if OD kind of like is what PT was supposed to be back in the day. That would be so freaking cool.
Yeah, probably. Who knows what that game will be about, though? Again, it's Kojima.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if it was real or not, but I remember seeing a tweet or something about him trying to like find like a real ghost, like going to a haunted place to try and get a real ghost to haunt OD. It was like, I don't know if that's true or not, but ridiculous enough, it sounds like it's something that he could do.
Yeah. So, is there any other questions you have?
Let me just check my list. I mean, it's something we maybe have touched on a little bit, but a question I usually like to ask when talking about a franchise during this podcast. Why do you think the Metal Gear franchise has been as successful as it has? Like, there's so many games in the franchise. Why do you think the game has been able to maintain this kind of fan base?
Cult following. Because Metal Gear has a specific story and specific themes in mind that it develops a cult following. It helps that the memes, with the memes of the Metal Gear series and the quotability of characters, because so many people will be quoting those fucking goddamn characters, and people will be wondering, where the fuck did you get that corny ass punchline? And people will say Metal Gear, and that is how Metal Gear spreads.
I love that.
So that is why Metal Gear's the Metal Gear series has been so successful, mainly. Plus, also brand power with Kojima's name onto it, of course. And yeah, of course, that's probably one of the reasons why some people even got a PS3 at all, as well.
Oh
yeah. Let me see. I'm trying to think of what else could be. I'm a little bit drawing a blank on there, but that is the best answer I can give you.
Yeah.
Quotability, especially. Cult following, quotability.
Yeah, I feel like the internet really helps with the longevity of franchises nowadays. Like, being able to meme something or spread, like, clips from the game, like, going viral in any capacity can be really good for the longevity of something.
Yes, of course. It also helps.
In their minds.
It also helps that Metal Gear's main theme is basically a national anthem. The main theme for the lewd motif, you'll always recognize that, always, iconically, because it's the same, and you're pretty much shown, and you can hear it in every single game. The lewd motif. Am I saying that right?
I think it's leitmotif.
Leitmotif, yes. Yeah. Yes. You'll hear that every single time. You will instantly recognize where that comes from when you hear the leitmotif. Especially so. It helps that they sound like national anthems. The first Metal Gear Solid is especially prominent in that. Is a little bit more on the cool-ish, trying to be cool factor, but it adds to its charm. But then Metal Gear Solid 2 kind of makes it a little bit more dramatic. And you can kind of feel the weight of the music of those, the soundtracks of them. Let me see, what else? Do you have any more questions?
Let me see. I'm just going through my list. Again, something I feel like we touched on a little bit, but maybe if you wanted to go into a little more detail. How has the franchise evolved and changed over the years? Like, what is like
Obviously,
how would you describe the way the franchise and like the gameplay, the stories, how the games as games have changed?
so obviously there is a jump between Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid. You can see that,
Oh
right?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Metal Gear games usually go with the third person, with either the third person angle or also mostly the overhead camera. So you may
Oh,
or
yeah.
fixed camera angles or moving camera angles where you don't change the camera. That has been Metal Gear and Metal Gear Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. 4 then 4 does start implementing the freeform camera now, where it can still kind of be played like a traditional third-person shooter if you wish. It's a little bit more easier to do it that way than Metal Gear Solid 2, where being precise is trickier in those games, to say the least. You still have a first-person camera, but it has to be triggered manually, and you cannot use it at the same time when you're moving around. Yeah. And then, of course, there is a very big jump into Metal Gear Solid 5, which made drastic changes to the Metal Gear controls, in that, yes, of course, it's third-person shooter-esque now with over-the-shoulder camera, especially when you start using weapons and stuff, and especially the melee combat too, in third person. So it's far, far more streamlined and far more intuitive than the previous games. There is obviously still an element of stealth, but again, it's just far more streamlined in 5 onward to Delta. And to touch upon this, the difference between 3 and Delta is that Delta's camo system is, of course, more intuitive to do. Like, you can change things much more on the fly without having to go into the menus. And while also still essentially playing like Metal Gear Solid 3, except for the CQC mechanic, which was implemented from Metal Gear Solid 5. So that is essentially how the series evolved. Metal Gear, to touch upon Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, that is its own spin-off game developed by Platinum Games. So while it is still arguably Metal Gear, and it's still interesting to play, that's its own thing. I'm still hoping to see a sequel, though. I still want to learn a lot more about Raiden's character. I still would be down to see another. Even if that wasn't directed by Kojima, Platinum Games could make another one similar to that.
I see.
Yeah. It especially helps that Raiden has a wife and kid, so I would love to know more.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty. Any more questions?
Alright, the last question I have is a silly question. But now I'm just curious, why is it called Metal Gear? What does Metal Gear mean within the context
I've never
of the
looked into that.
Really?
I've never looked into that, I'm sorry. I forgot to research that one. Fuck. Of the one thing that I forgot to research. But Metal Gear, the reason why that even has that title and why that has weight to it is because the main missions in Metal Gear all involve a mech of some sort that are called Metal Gear. Yes. And most of the objectives is to learn about them and or destroy them, or they're just simply there. As part of the game and the story. Even in the Cold War area, 1964, there is a quote-unquote Metal Gear.
Oh, wow.
Essentially. It was hinted at and mentioned early in the game many times. You just don't know what it is or what it's called yet, and that is up to you to determine that. That is the main mission of Metal Gear Solid 3. To learn more about what the fuck this stuff is, what they're doing, why you're in Russia, that kind of thing. So yeah, Metal Gear, giant mech.
Oh, wow.
Do you get to pilot them? That is a spoiler.
I don't know why I never realized the Metal Gear was had mechas in them. Like, it's a mecha franchise. It would have never occurred to me.
Well, yes.
Like, I know about the military
but that's not
stuff,
central.
But
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. I'm
Yes,
intrigued now
yes,
by
it can be
this.
considered. It can be considered mecha, but no, there is no like big central theme around it. Again, the
Okay.
main
So
central
both
theme
is and
about
isn't mecha. That's interesting. Now I'm
yeah,
more
it just has
intrigued.
mecha in it. Yes. The main themes of Metal
Oh
Gear
yeah.
series is military and warfare, and obviously parody of American warfare and topics. So yeah, essentially that was your last question.
Yeah, that was the last question I had.
Okay, but I'm not finished here.
Of course.
No, no, no. So,
Yeah.
do you have any experience with games like Metal Gear?
I don't think I've definitely not played a Metal Gear game. I've almost played Revengeance because I do own it because I share a Steam family with my siblings. So we have that. I just haven't played it yet. I'm trying to think if I've ever played
lit.
like a stealth game. I mean, I've played games that have stealth in them, like little stealth sections. I don't think I've ever played like a game that's fully in that style.
There
I'm pretty
is
bad at
Sly
stealth.
Cooper. There is Sly Cooper, which is a stealth platformer.
I've heard
So
of
that
that
is a
one.
game. Yep. Stealth platformer from Sly Cooper. Let me see. Revengeance. Oh my god, Revengeance. Yes, it is fun. It is a short game. Everyone remembers that because of the fucking piece of shit OST from that game. It is definitely still Metal Gear to its core. Far more over the top about it too.
I'm gonna have to play that at some point.
Yeah, but if you play Revengeance, yes, you will enjoy the gameplay, but you will probably be lost on the story a little bit. But I will still argue that, again, just like with each of the Metal Gear games, it still has its own standalone story and themes, without spoiling anything. Namely, it does touch upon Raiden's past just a little bit and reference Raiden's past a little bit, which is why he's doing what he's doing in Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. So yeah, it's still worth it. You can start off with a Revengeance if you want, but you will not really know who Raiden exactly is as a person and why he's the way he is. Yeah. I'd still give it a go though. Hell, you could play it right now on stream, and I wouldn't even complain. Oh man, Raiden Daddy. Let me see. I guess my next question is, are you interested in military stuff?
A little bit. Like, I did really like history when I was like in high school and stuff. I've never like delved super into military stuff. I mean, I'm thinking like in fiction, like I really like Full Metal Alchemist, and that has a lot of military-related stuff in it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Full Metal Alchemist. I'm not like a Full Metal Alchemist super nerd or anything like that, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that used to be one of my favorite anime. It's been a few years since I last rewatched it. I'm kind of due for a rewatch at some point. But yeah, so that kind of stuff I do really enjoy, where it's like an element to the story, like the world building.
Yeah. Let me see. To reply to your chatter's message, messes with his development in Metal Gear 4. Referring to Raiden. Ooh, that's interesting. In Metal Gear Solid 4, his place in there is a little bit awkward because I don't remember if it is, but he never really explains why he has those cybernetic augments in that game. I believe it was touched upon in Revengeance. But he was just kind of there a little bit awkwardly. He was still an absolute bro, though. Absolute bro. He's kind of just there awkwardly. He's still cool, but his placement in the story is a little weird. But yeah, it is kind of it kind of is a little bit inconsistent on his development because in Metal Gear Solid 4, you would assume that Raiden kind of grew from Metal Gear Solid 2, but apparently not. And thus how he is in Revengeance is why he is the way he is now. It's a little weird, but it's not like a big deal breaker. You'll still enjoy it. Why not? You're not going to complain. Absolutely fuck not. Oh, also, one more thing I wanted to touch on.
Mhm.
Call of Duty. Well, I mean, do not underestimate the story of classic Call of Duty. They're still pretty gritty and interesting in its own way, with Call
Really?
of Duty Black Ops 1's campaign discussing and revealing the warnings of um information extraction, brainwashing, and truth serums,
Interesting.
and we're struggling with what's real and what isn't while under those effects. And Black Ops 2 being a continuation, not really a continuation, it has its own stories, but it touches upon modern terrorism, the war on terrorism, which, as you know, is still ongoing ever since, well, if I can say it, a certain event that happened
Oh
in
yeah.
2001, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The
Well, it's
reason why
funny.
airport
I
has
would
so
have.
much security now.
The reason I would never not occur to me is that Call of Duty has plot. Like I don't know anything
Yeah, I
about that
mean,
franchise. I just know it's like the game that like teenage boys play. Like
oh
yeah,
no, yeah,
let's
yeah,
get back to
yeah. Those
boy video
teenage
game.
those teenage boys will not give a fuck about the story. They only care about the
Oh
multiplayer
yeah.
because again, the multiplayer has a pretty addictive element to it. Grinding for diamond camo, unlocking the attachments and stuff, everything. But yeah, I wouldn't ignore Call of Duty either. No, it's not really a true stealth game per se, but they do have interesting stories. Black Ops and Black Ops 2 being really underrated. Aside from the multiplayer is still really fun. But God forbid if you join those lobbies as a female presenter
Oh
and you
god,
go
I
into the
could
voice
never.
chat. Fuck that.
I have
Don't.
never done
It
an
is.
open lobby voice chat and never will.
I don't mean by like on stream. I mean by like you
Oh
go
no,
into
I know.
multiplayer lobbies.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I know, absolutely.
It's fucked. It is really
That
bad. Guys,
the concept
they
scares
are
me.
sweaty. They're so sweaty, so much. I swear I want to make revenge yaoi.
Oh man.
I swear some of these people are. I swear I'll probably go a little bit more on the gay side, in spite of using those slurs, and they don't even know what they fucking mean. Because so many people so many of those damn kids in Call of Duty always call you gay or the worst slur
Oh yeah.
for some reason, and they don't even know what that actually means. Oh man, but that's a topic for another time. I still wanted to mention it though because it still shares the same themes of military and warfare.
Oh yeah.
Let me see. I don't have any more questions to ask, honestly. This is a nice ass discussion.
Yeah, this is fun.
Nice ass discussion, even if we didn't talk about ass.
Yeah, do you have any
and so far,
closing thoughts about Metal Gear? Any last things that you wanted to bring up?
Before I discuss that,
Of course.
So this is my first time showing up on a stream in general or in content with my model, and so far it seems to be working good. It seems like I mean, there's some slowdown, but that's probably just an issue with Video Ninja. But yeah, this is the first time. You have Bab, you have the honor of seeing my VTuber model alive, if you can call it that.
I'm so honored to get to be the first. This is awesome.
Only for you, Bab.
Cool. I really like your
Only
model.
for you, Bab. Only for you.
Oh
Don't tell anyone else.
Hee
But anyway, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So closing statements about Metal Gear. Best ever series. It's not going to be for everyone. That you have to understand. It is far more likely not going to be for everyone because of stealth mechanics and its story. Absolutely not. But it's still worth a shot. I recommend starting off with again, that's so tricky, honestly. I really don't know still. Man, yeah, that's still tricky. Honestly, just go at your own pace. Just go at your own pace. That is my closing thoughts. Fantastic series, legendary even. legendary to the point that Solid Snake got included into a Nintendo crossover game.
Heck yeah.
And
That's
there you
so
have
cool.
it. My closing thoughts on Metal
Yee.
Gear.
Well, this was awesome. I'm so glad. Oh, yeah. Didn't chat.
Yeah, your chatter mentioned Metal Gear, starting off with Metal Gear. Ooh. The gameplay is going to be garbage, but at the very least, understand the story. You can even look at the cutscenes if you want. The gameplay in Metal Gear, I was trying to hold back from saying it, but I hate the gameplay in the first Metal Gear.
Oh,
Metal Gear
man.
2 is way better in gameplay though. But yeah, the story of Metal Gear you want to kind of at least understand and know. The gameplay fucking sucks. Donkey balls and fried chicken dumpling balls. Nah, hell no. But I'd still go for it. Try it. Why not? You can still quit it anytime if you don't like it.
Yeah.
But that's my closing statement.
Heck yeah. Yeah, it was great having you today. It was a really fun discussion.
It was a pleasure, homie.
Would you like to... Would you like to plug anything to my chat before you go? Anything upcoming that you want to share?
So I am on a break from streaming. Because again, I'm trying to get this crap to work. Like, you know, the VTuber model and stuff. As you can see, it's not really perfect. I still need to tweak a few things. Like the lip syncing, if you can call it that, or beak syncing is a little imperfect, to say the least. I'm still trying to work on that, figure that out. But aside from that, yeah, I do have my socials. It's the same as my username, Kellyan McFinch. You can find me on my social media. You might see me post cooking, or pets, or just me being controversial or giving a reason. I don't rage bait. I mean, I am naturally a rage baiter. I just don't do it like I just do it subtly. But you might find me. Yeah, you might find me on social media here and there as well. And again, of course, there is my Twitch channel, of course. Twitch.tv.KellenMcFinch. That might be the wrong type of link, but yeah, that is essentially my Twitch channel. I usually stream Monster Hunter Open Lobbies. Another stream that I do is Xenoblade Chronicles X. I've been trying to whittle that over time for the past 2 years. I started streaming it from the Wii U 2 months into my streaming career. This is my second year into streaming. I believe. Second year? I started streaming in 2024, June 6th. Holy, that is a long time.
I also started in 2024.
Oh.
I started in March 2024. So a little bit longer.
And here you are, still marching on.
Heck yeah.
Like a cafe maid. Could install me anytime, by the way. Quote unquote.
Heck yeah. Again, it was great having you today.
And Bab, thank you very much for inviting me. I appreciate you so much, Senpai.
You be. Now everyone, go support Kelly. They are awesome. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna wrap up here. Let's say one last goodbye. Thank you for joining. It was great having you.
As Mario would say when launching Bowser, so long, gay Bowser, or it would eventually be changed to bye-bye. If you get it.
Yes. So long, gay Bowser. Bye-bye.
I wish I could fucking throw Bowser. Alrighty. Boom. Are you going to do your outros and stuff?
Yeah. I'm going to leave the call right now, but again, hope to talk to you again sometime soon. This was fun.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm still down if you want to do like a post-stream report or something like that. I'll still be in call if you want to like deafen or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll talk to you in a little bit. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much to the little Bablings and of course to you, Bab.
Heck yeah.
That was super fun.
Alright. we are going to end stream here. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us as we talked about Metal Gear. It was a lot of fun. I now really want to play Metal Gear. Dana, I'm in my brain rot right now. Like, all I've been thinking about for the past 2 weeks has been Until Dawn and also Resident Evil, and now I'm like, should I be obsessing over Metal Gear now? My brain is leaking, but in a good way, I think. Yeah. But yeah, my next stream is going to be tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. EST. I'm going to be doing more Danganronpa 2 with Mist Runner, so definitely stay tuned for that if you're interested. Another body has been discovered, so we have another trial and investigation and all that fun stuff to do tomorrow, so definitely join in for that one if you are interested. Birthday Babathon is also starting this week. My birthday is on Thursday, so very exciting times. Very exciting times to be had. I have lots of big plans for the Birthday Babathon, Subathon. I'll be posting more details about the schedule for Babathon soon. I'm still finalizing a few things, but I'll let you guys know when I know what's happening, so definitely get hyped for that. And yeah, I think that's all I need to say for today. So if you're watching me on YouTube and you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed. If you're watching me on Twitch, make sure you are following, and you can also subscribe if you want to, only if you want to. And yeah, let's go ahead and see who we can raid. I think we're gonna raid Vest because today is the last day of their birthday donathon. They are playing Super Battle Golf. I would have joined them playing Super Battle Golf, but I didn't want to buy Super Battle Golf because money. But we're gonna go ahead and support their stream. Everyone hop into the raid. It will get you channel points. Everyone hop into the raid. And yeah, hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day or night, wherever you are. And I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Bye-bye! Bye-bye!